Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where internet buzz meets cultural curiosity. Today we're unpacking the biggest question in pop culture right now. Did Taylor Swift just get engaged? Seriously, if you've been anywhere online, like at all, in early 2025, you have seen the absolute frenzy around this. It's more than just a rumor, isn't it? It feels like a full-blown social media eruption. It's dominating headlines, filling up fan forums, sparking endless debates everywhere you look. And it's this fascinating story, almost perfectly designed for right now. You've got this electrifying mix of sports, music, celebrity culture, the works. Obviously, we're talking about Taylor Swift, who's, one of the most influential pop stars on the planet, and NFL player Travis Kelce, a huge name in football himself. Their relationship has been big news since it started, but lately, the speculation's gone way beyond just dating. It's all about that potential engagement, the E word. So our goal today isn't just to, report the rumors. We're going to try and be pop culture detectives here. We'll sift through the evidence, piece together the fan theories, and really try to unpack why.
Why has this story gripped millions of people all over the world? What does this whole engagement buzz, whether it's real or not, tell us about, modern celebrity, the power of fandom, maybe even ourselves? So let's get into it. Let's unpack this. Okay, so to really get a handle on what's happening now, we probably need to go back to the beginning of this whole romance. For anyone who maybe hasn't been following quite as closely, it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Titans in their fields, right? Yeah. Taylor breaking records left and right in music. Travis, Super Bowl winner, huge force for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was always going to be a big deal when they got together.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really interesting, something our sources point out right away, is how their relationship, which we know started back in 2023, was almost instantly called a pop culture plus sports crossover event. That label stuck because it wasn't just, two famous people dating quietly. It was this massive fusion. It brought together these two huge, very different, but equally passionate fan bases.
That's such a good point. You had Swifties suddenly learning about football.
Exactly. Swifties who know every lyric, every album Easter egg, suddenly deep diving into NFL rules and team stats. And on the flip side, you had football fans, maybe people who didn't know much about Taylor Swift's music, suddenly paying attention to, what songs she might reference or her game day outfit.
Right, or analyzing a look she gave Travis in the box seats.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So this mix, this unusual blend of worlds just naturally amplified everything. It guaranteed massive attention right from the start. It wasn't just a relationship. It was shaping up to be a cultural moment.
And that attention, it just kept snowballing, didn't it? It started with fascination, their dating, but then it shifted. It became less about the dating and more about, the future.
Yeah.
Engagement talk.
Right.
When did those first whispers really start, before it blew up?
Well, the initial murmurs, the very first hints of engagement talk, started popping up in late 2024. And that carried over, gaining steam into early 2025. It wasn't like a sudden bang, more like a slow build, a gathering of what you might call, little pieces of evidence, or perceived evidence anyway.
Okay.
The triggers were pretty specific and honestly kind of classic celebrity gossip fuel. You start seeing paparazzi photos, pictures that seem to show rings, maybe on that finger. Those were the first visual sparks.
Yeah, the classic ring watch.
Exactly. And alongside that, you had this steady hum of insider gossip coming out of entertainment circles. The type anonymous sources hinting at things, maybe saying things were getting serious. But here's where it gets uniquely Taylor Swift, and it's really set the stage. She has this well-known, almost legendary habit of dropping cryptic hints in lyrics, in appearances, you name it.
The Easter eggs.
Precisely. It's not just random, it's a pattern. Her fans know it, they expect it, they're actually trained to look for it. Think about past albums, a color she wore, a number that kept appearing, a slight change to a lyric live. These were all signals for her fans, the Swifties, to decode what was coming next.
Right. She practically invented that kind of fan engagement.
She really did. So when these first whispers of an engagement started, her history immediately primed her fans to go into detective mode. They were already looking for hidden meanings everywhere. It created this perfect environment for speculation to thrive, even before anything concrete surfaced. She'd kind of prepped her audience for exactly this kind of hunt.
So it sounds like it wasn't just random gossip. It was layered onto this history she has with her fans.
Yeah.
The sort of feedback loop. But then, as you said, something shifted. It went from whispers to a roar, this social media eruption. When did that happen? When did it hit boiling point?
Yeah, that tipping point, the moment it went from insider chat to a full-blown global conversation, that was definitely February 2025. That month saw a huge dramatic spike in the engagement talk, and it was largely driven by one specific visual clue that just caught fire online.
Okay.
Our sources are pretty clear this wasn't just a gradual uptick, it was literally a social media eruption. It jumped from the gossip sites to trending everywhere, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, even mainstream news. It became unavoidable.
Wow.
And this explosion was tied directly to something tangible, something people could actually see and analyze, which turned the rumor into something that felt more like visual evidence.
Okay. February 2025, the flashpoint, and a key visual clue. Let's get into these clues then, because the Swifties, they can turn anything into a theory, can't they? So what are they actually looking at? What specific details are fueling this fire? What makes these clues seem so compelling?
Well, the main catalyst for that February explosion, and probably the single biggest clue, was Taylor wearing a large ring at a private dinner. And sources say this wasn't just any ring. It was described as, sizable, sparkly, diamond, and very prominently worn on her left ring finger.
Oh, okay. The classic placement.
Exactly. That image hit the internet, and it just went into overdrive. The visual impact of a ring like that on that finger, it's immediate. It's universally understood as a symbol, right? Engagement, commitment.
Whether it is or isn't, that's what people see.
Precisely. In the world of celebrity watching, a big ring on that finger is never just a ring. It immediately becomes Exhibit A for engagement speculation. That one photo provided the sort of tangible proof fans have been waiting for or looking for. But it's more than just the ring itself. You absolutely have to factor in Swift's history, her reputation for using these cryptic hints in lyrics and appearances. This isn't new for her, like we said. It's part of her brand, her artistry. She weaves narratives, hints at future projects, embeds personal stuff into everything: music, clothes, social media, and that track record. It empowers the Swifties. It trains them, encourages them to meticulously look for hidden meanings in basically everything she does or wears. They've learned to be detectives in her story.
Rewarded for finding the clues.
Exactly. So this long-standing pattern means any potential clue, like the ring, gets instantly amplified. It's viewed through this lens of, okay, what does she mean by this? Is it intentional messaging?
It really is like this ongoing game she plays with her audience.
Yeah.
So how does that translate into specific theories about the engagement now? What are Swifties doing with these hints? What specific messages are they supposedly finding in, say, set lists or outfits or other jewelry?
Oh, it's incredibly detailed and super collaborative. They aren't just looking for any hint. They're specifically hunting for hidden messages in set lists, outfits, and jewelry that point towards an engagement. For example, maybe a song gets added to a concert set list, a song with the lyrics about marriage or forever, or, a specific romantic theme. Fans will analyze why that song, why now, or maybe she wears a certain color scheme, like appearing in white a lot, or maybe pastel colors that fans connect to wedding imagery, or perhaps a color that has some known personal meaning related to Travis or a key date.
Right, like an anniversary color or something?
Exactly. And beyond the main ring, other jewelry gets scrutinized too.
Yeah.
A new charm bracelet, maybe a necklace. Does it have his initial, his birthstone? Does the design subtly hint at something proposal related? Every single detail, how she poses in a photo, a specific word in an Instagram caption, it all gets treated like a potential puzzle piece.
Wow.
And then these bits of info get shared online instantly. Reddit threads, TikTok breakdowns, fan forums buzzing. They cross-reference everything with her past work, old interviews, even like astrology sometimes. It's this massive collective effort of interpretation.
It's like crowdsourced detective work on a global scale.
It really is. And it's built on this deep belief that Taylor is always communicating with them through these little breadcrumbs she leaves.
It sounds exhausting just keeping up. Yeah. So, okay, you have this intense fan activity, all these clues flying around, some obvious like the ring, some super subtle. How did the traditional media handle all this? And maybe more importantly, what about Taylor and Travis? Have they said anything at all to address this massive global conversation?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting because the contrast between the media frenzy and the official silence is quite stark. It's a story in itself, really. On one side, you had the tabloids and gossip blogs just going absolutely wild. This kind of story, ambiguous, high profile, endlessly debatable, is basically their bread and butter.
Perfect clickbait.
Totally. They could pump out headline after headline, asking questions, hinting at developments without needing any actual confirmation. The speculation became the news. It fed itself. Headlines often frame theories almost as facts, blurring that line between reporting and just guessing, which just ramped up public interest even more.
Right. And on the other side, silence.
Complete silence. And this is key. Swift's silence only increased speculation. It had the opposite effect of calming things down. It actually fueled the fire. Because for someone like Taylor Swift, who is known for being incredibly media savvy, very controlling of her narrative, that silence gets interpreted in so many ways.
Like, is it strategic? Is she letting it run to stay in the news?
That's one theory. Or is it just a genuine wish for privacy on something really personal? Or is she just waiting for the perfect moment, maybe a specific timing that fits her plans?
We just don't know.
Exactly. But whatever the reason, the effect is clear. Silence creates this vacuum. And the media, the fans, they rush in to fill it with theories, hopes, interpretations. And interestingly, some sources mention that some outlets started suggesting an announcement might be coming after her current tour leg.
Setting expectations.
Precisely. It gives everyone a future date to anticipate, keeps the story alive, keeps people hooked. It shows how the media isn't just reporting, it's kind of managing the narrative arc, too.
And all this was happening while Taylor was very visibly attending NFL games, right? Cheering for Travis, always in the spotlight. That must have just kept the relationship constantly front and center.
Absolutely. Her presence at those games was constant fuel. It made their relationship impossible to ignore, setting the stage perfectly for this level of intense scrutiny. They were living it out very publicly.
Yeah, like a fishbowl. Okay, let's shift focus a bit more onto the internet side of things. That's where so much of this really ignites. When we talk about Swifties dissecting Easter eggs, what does that actually look like in practice? How does this massive devoted fan base manage to build these incredibly complex theories?
It's honestly fascinating to watch. It's like a global, highly organized pattern recognition network. When they dissect Easter eggs, they take those hidden messages in set lists, outfits, and jewelry and elevate it to an art form. It starts small. One fan notices a tiny detail, a specific color Taylor wore, maybe an old lyric that suddenly seems relevant now. Someone else spots a new piece of jewelry or a subtle change in her social media activity.
Okay, individual observations.
Right. But the key is these observations don't stay isolated. They're immediately shared and debated across platforms, Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, dedicated forums. They operate incredibly fast. And through this collaborative process, theories get built, refined, sometimes debunked. Fans cross-reference everything. They check details against her past albums, music videos, old interviews, anything they can find.
Building these elaborate timelines and connections.
Exactly. Connecting dots that most people wouldn't even notice. They use their massive collective knowledge of her entire career and personal history to build these often surprisingly coherent narratives. And you have to remember, Swift herself cultivated this. Through her album rollouts, the puzzles in her lyrics. She turned her fans into active participants in her story. She trained them to look for these layers.
Making them feel personally connected, like they're in on it with her.
Precisely. It fosters this incredible sense of connection and investment, which you don't see with many other artists to this degree.
It's truly remarkable. Which leads to the bigger question. Why? Why are we as a culture so obsessed with the personal lives of celebrities like Taylor Swift? Especially relationships and big milestones like engagements. What's the deep appeal there?
Well, with Taylor Swift specifically, it goes deeper than just standard celebrity curiosity. Our sources really emphasize this cultural obsession where Swift's relationships have long been dissected as part of their art and celebrity persona. Her love life isn't just background noise, it's fundamentally linked to her music, her public identity. Think about huge songs like All Too Well or Lover. They weren't just hits. They were cultural events where her personal feelings became shared experiences for millions.
Right, people felt like they knew the story behind the song.
Exactly. Fans often feel like they're reading her diary through her music. So understanding her relationships feels connected to understanding her art, which in turn feels connected to their own lives. And then there's the media framing, the narrative that's consistently pushed. Taylor finally finding her fairy tale ending.
Yes, the fairy tale narrative.
It's powerful because it taps into these really universal desires we all have for romance, for happy endings, for things working out. Taylor, with her huge platform and very public relationship history, becomes this sort of canvas for those societal hopes. Her journey, with its public ups and downs, makes her potential happy ending feel like a collective win, a kind of vicarious thrill for everyone following along.
So we project our own hopes onto her story.
We absolutely do, especially onto a couple like this, the global pop star and the football hero. It feels aspirational. It validates our own beliefs, maybe, about finding the one.
That makes a lot of sense. But does that intense public projection put, like, insane pressure on them? And talking about unique dynamics, that NFL plus pop culture mix was huge. How did that really amplify things beyond just merging fan bases? What were the mechanics there?
Yeah, that pop culture plus sports crossover event wasn't just about numbers. It fundamentally changed the nature of the hype. Historically, the world of Taylor Swift and the world of the NFL were pretty separate universes, different demographics, different interests. But Taylor showing up at games week after week, cheering for Travis, that created this unprecedented bridge. Suddenly, millions of Swifties who maybe never watched football were tuning in, learning the game, getting invested in the Chiefs.
And Chiefs fans were learning about Taylor Swift lyrics.
Exactly, or at least becoming aware of her massive cultural impact because she was right there bringing this huge media spotlight with her. It didn't just double the audience, it felt like it multiplied the intensity of the interest. The sheer novelty of this pairing made it incredibly buzzworthy.
Gave everyone something new to talk about.
Totally, it created all these fresh angles for media, sports shows, talking pop culture, fashion blogs covering game outfits, entertainment news, discussing football stats. It opened up completely new ways to cover them.
Right, cross-pollination everywhere.
Exactly. The result was a much broader, more diverse audience all tuned into their story. So any potential milestone, like an engagement, automatically becomes this massive, amplified, global event because it's reaching and resonating across communities that weren't previously connected. It expanded the reach for both of them.
It really did feel like a cultural shift, didn't it? Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. Thinking about the power of that fan investment. Why do fans care so much about this specific rumor? It feels deeper than just gossip.
Oh, it's much deeper. It's this profound emotional investment built up over years, like we've touched on. Swift's relationships have long been dissected as part of her art and celebrity persona. For so many fans, her music has been the soundtrack to their own lives. Their heartbreaks, their joys growing up. Her lyrics feel personal, relatable. It creates the strong parasocial bond where her journey feels connected to theirs.
So her milestones feel like their milestones, almost.
In a way, yes. When someone's art feels so intertwined with your own life, their major life events, especially finding happiness and love, feel significant. It feels like an extension of the story you've been following, or even living alongside. And that fairy tale ending narrative we talked about, it resonates so strongly because fans feel like they've been there with her through different relationships, different eras of her life and music.
They're seeing the ups and downs publicly.
Exactly. So this narrative offers a sense of completion, of triumph after struggle. It's incredibly satisfying for people who are emotionally invested. It feels like a shared victory, witnessing her potentially achieve this universal dream of lasting love. That shared journey makes it feel intensely personal to millions.
That blurring of lines between the celebrity's life and the fan's own feelings is fascinating. Which brings us right to that complex idea. The blurred line between this parasocial fandom and the media narrative itself. How does this whole Swift-Kelce situation perfectly capture that dynamic?
It's almost a perfect case study, really. Our sources point to this multi-layered interaction. First, you have that layer of skepticism. People arguing the rumors are maybe overblown, maybe even strategic PR to keep her name out there.
Right, keeping the buzz going.
Yeah. Given her history of strategic timing with career moves, some argue this frenzy could be, at least partly, intentional. A way to maintain media dominance whether the rumors are true or not. It's a valid, critical take in today's hyper-managed celebrity world. Then you have the huge factor of parasocial relationships. That feeling fans have of knowing Taylor, almost like a friend, even though it's one-sided.
Fueled by her personal songwriting and Easter eggs?
Exactly. She's cultivated that feeling. So fans feel this deep emotional investment. They interpret clues as personal messages, feeling like they're in the know, actively participating in piecing together her story. They aren't just passive consumers.
They feel like co-authors, almost.
In a sense. But then crucially, you have the media's role. They don't just report the rumors, they actively shape and sustain the narrative by constantly covering it, even without hard facts. They amplify fan theories, quote, insiders, speculate about announcements. This creates this feedback loop. Fan theories fuel media, media fuels fans, all while the celebrity might stay silent.
Making it hard to tell what's real and what's just straight.
Precisely. The line gets incredibly blurred. The narrative itself, the speculation, effectively becomes the event driving the conversation and the emotional investment, regardless of the underlying reality.
The narrative is the event. That's a really sharp way to put it. So finally, let's zoom out one last time. Thinking about Taylor Swift's overall career, what does this whole engagement frenzy phenomenon tell us about her brand power, her cultural influence? It seems immense.
Immense doesn't even cover it. It absolutely underscores her position as one of the world's most influential pop stars. This entire situation, whether the engagement is real or not, is just proof of her unmatched ability to dominate global cultural conversations. Her every move, even a potential personal one that's unconfirmed, generates this massive, sustained wave of attention, discussion, analysis, and economic activity, frankly. She doesn't just follow trends, she often sets the entire agenda.
Yeah.
And the way this pop culture plus sports crossover blew up, it just showcases her unique power to break down traditional boundaries, to pull in completely different audiences and get them talking about the same thing. That's a sign of extraordinary cultural reach.
Not many people can bridge those worlds.
Very few. So this engagement story, real or not, adds another significant layer to her ongoing narrative. It keeps her right at the center of media attention, ensures her cultural omnipresence. It demonstrates that she operates within this entire cultural ecosystem that revolves around her, where even whispers become global news. It cements her status as this singular force in modern culture. She's not just reflecting culture, she's actively shaping it.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, navigating this constant stream of information? Well, it's a really fascinating kind of tangled look at how modern celebrity works, how dedicated fan culture, media narratives, maybe even strategic silence, all weave together to create these stories that just captivate millions. It's a potent reminder that sometimes, especially in the world of celebrity, the story can feel more real than reality itself, at least in the public mind. And whatever the actual status of that ring, Taylor Swift's power to command attention and drive the cultural conversation, that remains absolutely undeniable. Join us next time on Trending Unpacked, where we are shifting gears completely. We're moving from pop culture phenomena to the natural world to unpack Haboob. You might have seen the videos, these incredible giant desert dust storms. They're trending for their absolutely striking visuals. We'll explore what they are and why they go viral. You won't want to miss that one.